On January 28, 1986, the United States of America suffered a national tragedy. On that day, NASA launched the Columbia Space Shuttle, carrying 7 astronauts, including Krista Micallef, who was the first teacher to become an astronaut. Unfortunately, only 73 seconds after launch, the shuttle exploded, shocking the countless American men, women, and children who were watching the launch live on television. President Ronald Reagan addressed the nation after the disaster in an attempt to comfort the American people, including the family members of the astronauts and the children who watched the tragedy live during school. His address uses emotional appeals, apostrophes, parallelism, quotes, and anecdotes to console the nation and promote a continued faith in the space program.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd planned to speak to you tonight to report on the State of the Union. But the events of earlier today have led me to change those plans. Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss.
President Reagan's introduction immediately begins with an apostrophe, in which he addresses the nation using diction that remains professional but maintains a personal level in an attempt to exhibit the president as a leader during loss, but also a sufferer of the same loss. His reference to Nancy and I continues to provoke a sense that the president himself was upset by the tragedy. President Reagan continues this establishment of common ground in his introduction and throughout his entire address by utilizing diction that incorporates him as a member of the suffering nation. He does this by using words like we and our, and by emphasizing the loss as one on the national level.
The families of the 7, we cannot bear, as you do, the full impact of this tragedy. But we feel the loss, and we're thinking about you so very much. Your loved ones were daring and brave, and they had that special grace, that special spirit that says, give me a challenge, and I'll meet it with joy. They had a hunger to explore the universe and discover its truths. They wished to serve, and they did. They served all of us. We've grown used to wonders in this century. It's hard to dazzle us. But for 25 years, the United States space program has been doing just that. We've grown used to the idea of space, and perhaps we forget that we've only just begun. We're still pioneers. They, the members of the Challenger crew, were pioneers.
Through his address to the family members of the astronauts, President Reagan characterizes the astronauts as pioneers and men and women of service. He commemorates them through parallelism, starting by acknowledging their dreams and then proclaiming their accomplishment of those dreams. Additionally, he utilizes parallelism to exhibit how the Challenger crew members were pioneers and that they knew the risks yet accepted them. He illustrates the awesomeness of space and NASA and defends them by reminding Americans that disasters happen on the frontier, but they must not stop exploration.
There's a coincidence today. On this day, 390 years ago, the great explorer Sir Francis Drake died aboard ship off the coast of Panama. In his lifetime, the great frontiers were the oceans, and a historian later said he lived by the sea, died on it, and was buried in it. Well, today, we can say of the Challenger crew, their dedication was, like Drake's, complete.
President Reagan states this fact in a juxtaposition. He begins by stating that the whole matter is a coincidence, but goes on to exhibit the correlation between the two events, suggesting that it is more than a coincidence. Through his anecdote, the president compares the Challenger astronauts to Sir Francis Drake, exhibiting them as explorers. He shows that despite the loss of the crew members, their dedication was necessary for further success, and their efforts were not in vain.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us for the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them, this morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God.
President Reagan concludes his address by utilizing a quote from John McGee's poem, High Flight. The poem relates the heavenly glory of flight and reveals the wonder of space. The president utilizes this quote to remind the American people that despite the risks of spaceflight, space is calling and humans must continue to explore it. Additionally, these poetic words leave a calming effect upon the audience, helping console the grieving Americans.